AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome, everybody, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. So happy to have you with us this Monday evening, and so thrilled that we will be joined by Dr. Carolyn Dean, MD, ND, medical doctor, natural doctor, and doctor extraordinaire, who is one of the very few doctors in the world probably, and certainly on the internet, with the level of recognition that she has and the level of media exposure, that is going to actually sit for 2 hours and take your phone calls and not charge you anything and be perfectly frank with you about what you can expect while you're expecting your body to recover perfectly using nutrition as the basis for your health. And not just nutrition, but supplementation, because we all know the food's kind of gone haywire around this place, meaning planet Earth. But Dr. Dean has figured out some super fantastic ways to actually supplement our nutrition with some healthy formulas that give your body the advanced building blocks that it needs to actually perform optimally. And she's got some other tools in her pocket, tricks of the trade, ways that you can actually lower your resistance of your mind and actually boost your confidence so that you can expect optimal health to return. She's the author of The Magnesium Miracle, the author of many other books, 101 Kindles. She's got her own radio show. She runs her own super huge corporation that distributes products all over the world. She has a wonderful full-time husband who requires a lot of attention, and she basically has a full staff of people that she marshals around all day long, and then she just comes here on Mondays and slides right into her beautiful chair and just sits down and talks to you as she would talk to her very best friend over a cup of tea, and just offers you the ideas and the insights about what she would do if she were in your physical shoes. We're so happy to have her with us this evening, and before I bring her on, I just want to remind you that she does not give medical advice because that is not cool. But what she would do, as I said, is she'd tell you what she'd do if it were her, and believe me, she has done everything. She is her own lab rat, her own experiment, and she translates all things medical, all things scientific into all things practical, so that you can use them easily and get the results that you need and get happy with life and get busy living the life of your dreams. So welcome, welcome, welcome today, as in all days and always, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Yay. Yay. Thank you. Thank you from my heart and my full-time husband, Bob. My full-time husband, who's a lot of work. Oh, boy, he is a lot of work. If I can take care of Bob, I can take care of anybody and everybody.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yes. It's like I've learned patience from Bob. I've learned to anticipate. I've learned to do so many things. Oh, Bob's reaching for his phone. Oh, no.
Yes, you learn patience from me.
Yes.
Not about me, from me. I'm the model of a patient. Or a patient.
A patient, right. Oh, Bob was my favorite patient when I was going through med school. He would be so happy just to kind of lie down and let me examine him. I became a good doctor because Bob was my first patient.
I've done everything, Ginny, just like Carolyn.
I believe it, Bob. I believe it. No, you're a great man, and you've got a beautiful wife, and you are your own visionary leader in your own way, in your own world, with all the things that you study and all the things that you inspire people to know. But you are a full-time job, Bob. I'm just saying.
Okay, so on to today's proceedings. Jenny put out our weekly email blog about what the show's going to be about today. You can find it at drcarolyndeanlive.com, and it's magnesium deficiency, things your doctor may not know to tell you. You've probably seen books around over the years, things your doctor won't tell you. Well, doctors now don't know to tell you how to be healthy. And it's very timely, this blog. I usually don't find out until a couple hours before the show what our topic is, but this is very timely because every 2 years I do my CME credits, my continuing medical education credits. And this year I was so appalled at what family medicine doctors have to know and have to study and have to pass in our CME credits. So it's been 2 years, and a couple of years ago I realized, they're getting into biologics and more gene information and more vaccines. But, I didn't really understand a tenth of what I was reading in these CME courses. They're short courses, and you read them and you study it and then you answer questions. But seriously, they act like everybody's dying, everybody has a fatal disease, everybody is going to succumb to heart disease, a little inkling of blood pressure. They're even saying anything above a 120/80 blood pressure can cause brain changes. It can start changing the white matter in your brain. It's like they've got so many tests now, and they have no idea what the tests mean, but they're willing to assume it's going to be bad. So they're testing all these enzymes and saying, well, this enzyme is doing that, so we better kill that enzyme fast. And they never stop to think, well, what is driving that enzyme? Is it a lack of magnesium that's making the enzyme not work well? Because as we found out at the NIH conference, or the Magnesium Research Conference held at the NIH, we saw papers there where now they know that 1,000 enzymes require magnesium in order to work in your body. And 80% of known metabolic functions require magnesium. Now, they'll come up with more metabolic functions and more reasons that magnesium is necessary. So you cannot in any way tell me that magnesium is less than the most important nutrient in your body. And I'm so happy that I was led to magnesium for my own magnesium deficiency, and then I just didn't stop until I found a chemist, and we worked together to create a very concentrated, stable ion of magnesium that's so well absorbed that you can take enough of it to make a difference in your body. That's all we're doing here. And it was the CME courses that they just shocked me. I'm not usually shockable because I know how bad it is, but this really goes beyond the pale. This helps explain even more why doctors are suicidal, quitting the business, not happy. They'll just spend the 5 minutes with you because they know they're stuck with just doing recipe medicine, where if you have a problem, they have to give you this drug and that, and if it doesn't work, they add another drug. They never think, this drug isn't working, maybe we better try something else, and they never go outside the drug model because the drug industry has led everybody to believe that we need drugs. The FDA is all behind the drugs. They won't let us talk about our formulas actually helping people. We have to keep dancing around and keep just saying, well, we're treating nutrient deficiencies, and lo and behold, isn't that amazing? They saved your life, but don't tell anybody. So, Jenny, I mean, it's gotten worse. These past 2 years, it's gotten so bad. I don't know what to say. I'm going to stop now, and I'll let you expound for a minute here.
Well, no, I think it's important that people understand that the way that doctors are being treated with, again, the confusion in the sciences, and then on top of that, the medical community putting, the insurance community putting pressure on them. Yeah, it's a very difficult job to do. What did we read, Carolyn? Like 78% of doctors are suffering with burnout right now. And, you know, is it a realistic expectation to place your life in the hands of another human being? What for? When you have your own internal guidance system, you have your own instincts, your body has an impulse for life that's stronger than the knowledge of any doctor. And I'm not saying don't partner up with them. I'm just saying people who blindly give all their attention and power away to doctors without fully investigating what they're recommending. Unfortunately, I think people are starting to wake up and respond differently to the medical community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was one, I just looked it up, one case study talking about in the elderly how to know what drugs are harming people and what aren't. And they ended up just saying, oh, all these drugs are necessary. They're fine. I mean, I'm whitewashing or blackwashing or muddying up the whole feeling I have about what I've been reading. But when you put doctors in the basket of just using drugs, they don't see anything else. Of course, we have incredible clinicians and physicians who take our products and they get all inspired and they either recommend or sell them to their patients and everybody's happy, but there's just no way this information is going to get to any higher level than the people we're dealing with. If we went too public with this, we would be blasted right out of the water.
By the Android meme count. You read me some of it last night. It's again supporting the statement that course is not for humans, not even for doctors. It's for other machines to make other chemicals and other products. That's what's being discussed. That's why you can't understand it and why it looks worse. It's going to get worse because the machine is only talking to itself. It's not talking to any humans.
Right. So the whole robotization of medicine then would make sense, because if they're just setting up guidelines and protocols where boom, 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 do this, that, and if that doesn't work, do that, everything's an algorithm. Yeah, that's where robots will take over medicine. And because human doctors get so burnt out because they just see the futility of what they're doing, then everybody will be happy because, we have enough robots to cover.
Yeah, and that's not a mechanical robot with arms. That's the watch they're making people wear that monitors your body processes.
All right. That's right. I mean, there was such excitement when I was reading about the Apple study where they used the Apple Watch to determine arrhythmia, atrial fibrillation specifically. And the researchers, they were just all over themselves because they were able to enroll over 400,000 people in this so-called study. Usually they, in our study, Ginny, how long it takes to get people. So 400,000, boom, right out of the chute, and they, got all their statistics and did this and did that. And, of course, our cardiovascular electrophysiologist, Mandrola, is that his name, Mandrola? I always mix it up, but I think I blogged about him saying, no, this is a problem. We're finding people who have this little run of Afib for a short time, and he didn't say that they were under stress or magnesium deficient, which is what they are. I mean, look at my Afib book. I talk about the 33 triggers for Afib. And they're not talking about any of that. They're just saying, oh, boom, your heart went crazy, we have to give you drugs. And that's another way that they're scaring people into the medical pipeline. It's just, I'm flummoxed. But I will continue on. I will bravely continue on as we have been doing.
Yeah, but your stuff works.
The good thing is that there are tons of very heartfelt, sincere individuals out there who are doctors who have a sincere desire to see people improve. And I've heard them talk on podcasts and different radio shows as they've adapted, like, for example, the keto diet, they've turned their practices around, giving people nutritional advice, some at the expense of their own career. And those are the doctors who partner with us. Mm-hmm. And, that's the thing is we are expanding the message out beyond Dr. Dean into the medical community, and it is trickling out gradually, but we are going to put a call out even to our customers to say, hey, which one of your doctors that you're working with right now would you like to see have professional information about REMAG and a free sample of the product so that they can start to learn, because we're going to have to take this to the grassroots of the doctors. This is not, like you said, going to be accomplished at a bureaucratic level. But it can be accomplished with practitioners, clinicians, therapists, holistic doctors who want to see their patients improve, and they're desperate to have them receive effective natural protocols.
You're going to win out, Carol, because your stuff works.
Yeah. Yes, indeed, and yes, I know in years past I said we were just going to reach out to the customers, keep our products at a decent price, even though they're very expensive to make. You can only imagine if they're causing miracles. This is not a piece of dirt that you're swallowing. So we have managed now with our huge ordering, once you order 20,000 units at a time, you can get price breaks. So we're going to pass that on to practitioners because we have to save the practitioners now. Seriously, 79% of doctors are not happy in their practice, and it's because they're not able to help people. And all we have to do is get their patients through them on our protocol, and the patients are happy, the doctors are happy, they can spend their time as they should doing a physical exam, doing checkups, talking to their patients, writing prescriptions for them to take a day off work, or I used to write prescriptions for these poor women who were working and had kids and everything. I'd write a prescription to the husband that they had to start doing the dishes and giving the wife and mother some time off. Seriously, that's what doctors are supposed to do, is support people in a healthy life and a healthy lifestyle, not just give them drugs. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rant. Let me continue here with things your doctor may not know to tell you. So the blog reads, magnesium deficiency overlooked in the Western world, declared a public health crisis by more and more doctors. Most doctors, even holistic practitioners, don't know about magnesium, and they certainly don't know about REMAG. They don't know that you can deal with, what did I say, 80% of known metabolic functions by having enough magnesium in your body. So that's why it should be the number one nutrient that people take, and you can't get it in your food, so you have to take it as a supplement. One reason for the oversight, perhaps one reason for the oversight is doctors have become more convinced of disease, rather than nutritional deficiencies. Magnesium deficiency mimics a host of health problems such as atrial fibrillation, fibromyalgia, back pain, insomnia, restless leg syndrome, etc., even anxiety, Alzheimer's, and depression. One of the little-known reasons that magnesium deficiency may be contributing is that it's a master nutrient, exactly. responsible for 1,000 enzyme processes. It's such an important nutrient that taking it by itself, in many cases, it actually raises blood levels of calcium, potassium, and vitamin D because they all require magnesium. And it will also balance out blood sugar. It'll help people who are hypoglycemic or who have diabetes. And people tell us that all the time, even though we try over and over again all the time to make sure that people understand it's not just about REMAG. We want you to drink your sea salted water. We want you to take Remite, and we want you to get enough calcium. We want you to be taking 600 milligrams of calcium either in diet or in your Recalcia. And actually, I've been doing an experiment on myself, as I always do, and I stopped eating dairy for a little bit, and I started realizing I had sort of a ache in my foot. I had this and that happening. I used to just think my knees would ache, but when I was traveling, I wasn't walking, so I didn't notice my knees. So what I realized is that the aches and pains that a person might get, even though they're on enough REMAG, it may be that's a little bit of calcium deficiency rearing up. So think about that. Really look at your diet and make sure that every day you're getting about 600 milligrams of calcium, not the 1,200 milligrams of the poorly absorbed calcium that you've been told to take. Unlike drugs, nutrients require a complex array of substances in order to work properly, et cetera, et cetera. Countries where women take far less calcium but plenty of magnesium have low rates of osteoporosis. I mean, I talk about that all the time, how the incidence of osteoporosis has been escalating in spite of all the calcium that women have been told to take for years. And it's only when you add magnesium and put things in balance that the bones are happy. And magnesium helps calcium dissolve in the calcified areas that everybody's up in arms about. The coronary arteries are calcified, the carotid arteries in the neck, the kidney arteries are calcified. And what we say about the REMAG is that it will help put this calcium into solution. We get feedback from our customers about their carotid ultrasound showing less calcification, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really important to know that we're becoming calcified, but there is a solution to it instead of, what was I writing? Maybe it's a sugar book I'm finally finishing. Instead of telling people to take REMAG to dissolve the calcification in arteries, what did they do? They put a wire up through your groin, up to your heart, and blow a balloon up to squish the calcified cholesterol away from the lumen, from the inside of your blood vessel tubing. So what's that do? I mean, that's a real irritant, I'm sure, to the blood vessels. And then they put in a stent. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. It was a recent blog that I did called, drug-eluting stents. Let me look it up. Where can I find that? Oh, yeah, my blog is at drcarolyndean.com. Be on my mailing list so you can get them. And the latest blog of April 7th is called Drugging Coronary Arteries. And I'll read from that for a bit. Here's what happens when you're diagnosed with blocked coronary arteries after an angiogram. Doctors mechanically open up the narrowed artery. The procedure is called angioplasty. An incision is made in the wrist or groin, and a catheter with a balloon at the tip is inserted and advanced to the point of blockage. All this maneuvering is done under radiation-emitting X-ray fluoroscopy. When in place, the balloon is inflated, squeezing the plaque up against the artery walls to open up the artery. How much damage does that do to the wall of the artery? Usually stents are inserted into those arteries to help keep them open. A stent is a tiny permanent wire mesh tube. What damage does a stainless steel wire wrapped with a biodegradable fiber cause? And I say I can't find any answers to these questions. They just don't consider that all this manipulation of the arteries is problematic. And see, what I say about calcification of the arteries is calcium deposits in the inner artery wall and causes irritation, inflammation. And then cholesterol comes on like a little bit of sticky gum to try to stop this irritation, to bind up the calcium and make it less problematic. So what do? They call cholesterol the bad guy. And then they have their statin drugs, and from my continuing medical education courses, well, the statins aren't working, so we will add a biologic drug. We will add something. We're not going to stop them because, that's, I don't know what that is. They would lose money, I guess. Or they can't stop them because then it would be admitting that they don't work. So they're using biologicals. I'm just looking them up. A therapeutic substance such as a vaccine or drug derived from biological sources. So, yeah, they're trying to call them biologics to make it more user-friendly. It's like saying something is natural. So they're monoclonal antibodies, biologicals. I mean, just look at how would you search this? New drugs in 2019. What does that say? Therapeutic biological products. That's what they're calling them. Sounds good, right? But they've only been out for a few years. We don't know the end point of the side effects because most of the studies of these drugs are only, they're less than a year, so they don't know the long-range side effects. Anyway, I will go back. Magnesium is vital for the utilization of calcium. It also plays unique roles in the uptake of potassium, transformation of vitamin D. Just got an email through customer service of some doctor wanting the patient to go on 80,000 units of vitamin D because her levels were low. Horrifying. I mean, that will just suck up all her magnesium and make her very magnesium deficient. And then the final paragraph, when health-conscious individuals encounter information such as this vitamin D prescription, they always ask the same question: why isn't my doctor telling me this? The main reason doctors do not use magnesium as a regular part of the practice is not because they are not aware, it's because they may not know how to tell you to use it effectively. And that's where our REMAG comes in. Fully absorbed at the cellular level, required by 1,000 enzyme functions, goes into the mitochondria, crosses the blood-brain barrier, plays a critical role in RNA and DNA synthesis. It's used in protein metabolism, 6 of the 8 steps of the Krebs cycle. These are the non-negotiables of how REMAG begins to impact the body. By adding REMAG to the equation, you add very modest, highly absorbed forms of calcium, zinc, and other mineral factors, including iodine, at a cellular level that will support electrolyte interactions and enzyme interactions as well. And, of course, it all works, all these minerals work with our B vitamin realign. You really have to do the realign for the B vitamins that support the immune system, support the nervous system, They're methylated and food-based bees, so they support methyl detoxification in the liver. There are 2 amino acids involved in the formula as well. They're sulfur-based amino acids that provide the sulfur for sulfation detoxification in the liver. And methionine is a precursor to glutathione. I mean, it's everything that your body requires. And the first question that came in after someone read that blog is, what is your opinion on multiple vitamins, CoQ10 and turmeric? So those are the CoQ10, turmeric, they're blasted all over creation now. CoQ10 will be, depleted with the use of statins. So that's where it began to be important. People who take statins need the CoQ10. But in general, CoQ10, the vegetarians might have a problem with this, but maybe not. CoQ10 is found in organ meats, heart, liver, kidney. And if beef liver's difficult for you, there's calf's liver, but there's also chicken livers, and we love some chicken livers. You can do that, and it's a really tasty meal. Muscle meats, pork, beef, and chicken have CoQ10. Fatty fish, trout, herring, and mackerel, and sardines. Vegetables, spinach, cauliflower, broccoli, fruit, oranges, and strawberries, legumes, lentils, and peanuts. They do say soybeans, but I don't recommend soybeans. They're very hard to digest. Nuts and seeds, sesame seeds, and pistachios. So what happened with the CoQ10? It came to the forefront, and now everybody's told that they have to have it for their heart, for their energy systems. But guess what? CoQ10 is required in one of the final steps of the Krebs cycle to make energy. And if you don't have magnesium for the previous 6 steps, the CoQ10 is not going to help. I mean, forget about it. It's not even part of the game. So what we say is that you get your Remag in there, it's making your Krebs cycle active, and when you get to the point of the CoQ10 cofactor requirement, then your CoQ10 from your diet is going to be sufficient, really. I mean, the high doses of anything except magnesium are really not necessary. Multiple vitamins, you look at them, they're synthetic. What I'm saying about our B vitamins, they're methylated and food-based. We're coming out with a food-based vitamin C because there's so few of those on the market. We tell you to take blue ice royal for vitamin A, D, and K2, which are from fermented cod liver oil and butter oil. Those are foods. They're not synthetics. The synthetic vitamin D that people are taking is made from sheep lanolin. And the person also asked about turmeric. Well, as far as I know, from way back in the day, turmeric has a fair amount of magnesium, and some of the functions of turmeric come from its magnesium content. I mean, that's what I believe, because I've never had to take turmeric. I don't need turmeric. I have all that I require. So if you have a limited budget, why buy expensive turmeric when you want to just focus on getting your magnesium high enough? People are succumbing to these huge, long advertising pages. Actually, there's one page out there now on a magnesium chloride, and it goes for 100 pages. This crazy advert about how, and seriously, it's taking so many words from my book. I don't know. They did not mention my book. I usually have to write to these people or have my lawyer write to them to take my name off their product. But this just uses my information to sell a 4-ounce bottle of the Utah Salt Lakes concentrate, which has, good grief, was it 100 milligrams of magnesium chloride, not even magnesium. No, maybe it was, here we go, 500 milligrams of magnesium chloride. Now, when you break that down, there are only 60 milligrams of magnesium in 500 milligrams of magnesium chloride. So if it was 500 milligrams of magnesium, they would have put that on the label, but they put magnesium chloride, 500 milligrams. And it was, I think it was something like 48 doses in a 4-ounce bottle. So you're getting, what's that? I mean, I shouldn't be attacking other products. Any bit of magnesium is going to help. So 48 doses by 60 is 2,880 milligrams of magnesium, and they're charging $100 for the 4 ounces. And of course they slash that and say, well, it's really $47, but today we'll give you a deal and it'll be $27. So that's the game they're playing. And we don't do that. I mean, our prices are just, $29.99. Covers our costs, and actually now we're finally at the point where we can do some research, so we can make scientific discoveries that everybody will appreciate. So what have we got in Remag is 300 milligrams per teaspoon, and it's 48 teaspoons per, so it's 14,400 compared to 2,000 milligrams. So this is the hype that you're all faced with, and I have to deconstruct it. That was a question from one of our customers. What do I think about this product? Let me think. Yeah, we've been about 40 minutes. Let me finish up the questions, though, Ginny. Someone says, I've recently started Remag, currently following the protocol provided on the bottle. 55-year-old male competitive tennis player. 5 years ago, I began noticing unusual fatigue, muscle aches, tightness, slow recovery. My doctor conducted blood tests, CAT scans, MRIs, all coming back normal or exceptional. Not a word about magnesium. I say that. Despite what the test said, I continue to experience fatigue, muscle aches, slow recovery. Through my own investigation, I learned about magnesium deficiency, found is the only thing that makes sense to explain my health situation. Recently had an RBC mag test done. I was at 5. I know you recommend getting the level to 6 or better. How long will it take using Remag to bring that number up? By the way, I eat a healthy diet and exercise regularly. So what we've got here is someone asking, sorry, Stuart, but you're asking me to be a mind reader or a psychic about how long it's going to take. So what you have to consider is how long you've been sweating out your magnesium, and not so much looking for RBC mag test of 6 or better, but wanting your fatigue, muscle aches, and slow recovery to turn around. And you'll probably find a lot of other symptoms that shift as well. And so it's just a matter of following our guidelines. You're starting with the quarter teaspoon a day, working up. And in the case of a male competitive tennis player, it might take 3 teaspoons a day, but also make sure you get your sea salted water, add the Remite for the other electrolytes that you'll also have sweated out, and be sure you're getting your 600 milligrams of calcium, diet or Recalcia. Question. The blog says Alzheimer's. I thought doctors say that's incurable. I have a friend in Australia who has recently been diagnosed. She says she has a gene for that illness. Are you saying your products of magnesium help Alzheimer's? Well, here's the problem, where doctors don't know about nutrients, and they will give some sort of statement that a certain condition is incurable. They'll say that about MS, for example. But what if MS is really misdiagnosed magnesium deficiency? We've had that quite a lot, where people have this strange numbness and tingling of their body parts, and I remember in med school, any sort of weird neurological symptom, we thought of MS right away. But when you look at the symptoms of magnesium deficiency, numbness, tingling, burning, any sort of nerve or muscle irritation is magnesium deficiency until proven otherwise. So what you do with that information is you take magnesium and do your own experiment and see what happens. That's it. So, Robin, you can tell your friend this. You can send them to the rnareset.com website for our free books, and the radio show archives. Go to drcarolyndeanlive.com. Just get this information. I mean, yes, in the Magnesium Miracle, I have a section on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. You can email our customer service at support@rnareset.com and ask for our Alzheimer's, Parkinson's excerpt, and we'll just send you that by email. Someone says, what role does magnesium play in regulating a woman's fertility and ovulation in the postpartum period? Well, magnesium is very important in balancing progesterone and estrogen, but I would work with that along with the Remite, Amy. The Remite is going to support your thyroid, which is very important for getting back on a regular cycle, and it supports your adrenals, and make sure you're hydrated and taking sea salt water. And also the B vitamins are important. After pregnancy, magnesium and zinc become very deficient. There is zinc in Remite. If a woman has postpartum depression, I also add the homeopathic Ignatia, Ignatia. Ignatia is a homeopathic for perfectionism. What women find out, although I don't know because I never had a biological child, but apparently women pretty quickly find out that they can't live a perfect life anymore when they have a child. You have to give in to the kid. Okay, so someone else is saying 3 bouts of Afib since 2013, 2 cardioversions, 2nd bout a year ago, 3rd bout last week, another Afib episode lasted 12 hours, and being pushed to schedule another ablation. I remember that you said to take up to 3 teaspoons when having palpitations and flutters, so I did, versus the usual half teaspoon I've taken daily for about 6 months. Yeah, half teaspoon is 150 milligrams. It's not really going to do much. So up to 3 teaspoons, the doctor did not expect what happened here. So I did that versus the half teaspoon I've taken daily for 6 months. Well, my AFib went away after taking 3 teaspoons. The doctor did not expect that to happen because last time my AFib lasted a week, and I was forced to get cardioversion, took 4 shocks to get me back into rhythm. My electrophysiologist still wants me to get an ablation. Now, an ablation, what they do is they stick a wire up into your heart, and they burn out a section of the heart where they think that abnormal pacemaker of the heart is triggering these extra beats. So, I mean, I don't tell people not to do ablation, but this gentleman is already, well, he's had cardioversions, so that's just the shock. Ablation is different. So, if 3 teaspoons did the trick, then it's the magnesium deficiency that's causing the problem, not the lack of having an ablation. He says, I'm only 47 years old. Everyone keeps telling me once you start getting AFib, it just gets worse. It'll never go away on its own. Is that true? No, not true. Does AFib beget AFib, or do you know people who have AFib and found a way to make it go away without surgery? So, yes, read the AFib book. It's what's it called? Atrial fibrillation, Remineralize Your Heart. So read the AFib book, Nick, and really get an intellectual feel for what I'm talking about here and make up your own mind if you have an intuitive feel already because your AFib went away with the 3 teaspoons, then you're on your way. The worst is over. And he's saying, can taking 2-3 teaspoons actually hold off AFib? It's as Ginny and I say, it may not be that you have a heart condition called atrial fibrillation, but you have a magnesium deficiency. You're not taking the Remag as if it were a drug. You are replacing the mineral magnesium. That's the most important electrolyte for your heart. The highest amount of magnesium in the whole body is in your heart. And he says, I'm on plenty of prescription meds, proton pump inhibitors, severe magnesium depleters, proton pump inhibitors. One of the stories in the Remag book was about a gentleman who had to have intravenous magnesium for years and was getting infections in his intravenous line. He had to have them for years. He was on IV magnesium for years. He was on proton pump inhibitors for years. I told him to get off. He took Remag. He got off the IV, but he still took his proton pump inhibitors. And finally, when his doctor told him he had to stop, he got off the proton pump inhibitors, and his magnesium deficiency symptoms went away. So he's just on maintenance Remag now. So he's on plenty of prescription meds. So all of them are going to deplete magnesium, but we don't tell you to get off them until your symptoms are better. Download my Future Health Now encyclopedia, which is free, 600 pages of awesome information, free at drcarolyndeanlive.com, and look up heartburn, GERD, or whatever for the natural ways of dealing with GERD. So, yeah, they've got him on beta blockers, sleeping pills, diuretics, Eliquis, yeah. And he's only a kid, 47 years old. And he said, yeah, I'm sure they're stripping me of magnesium along with, he's on a CPAP machine for sleep apnea, and he has high stress. So, yeah, I mean, seriously, Nick, I was on no meds. I'm only 107 pounds when I want to be, and I had to take 4 teaspoons for heart palpitations, 4 teaspoons of Remag. But you also, with all this stress and everything else, you have to go on the whole package. Do the Remag, Remite, the Realign, and then you can get your RNA reset drops and do the Restructure protein powder. And keep in touch with us. Good question. We're here to help. And Ginny, I will turn it over to you for the last few minutes of the first hour.
Okay, very good. Yes, it's been a very productive first hour. Lots of great information going out to our listeners. Let me just remind everybody that Dr. Dean does take phone calls. If you're interested in speaking to her one-on-one about any of your health concerns or how to follow any of her protocols, you can call her at 602-666-6027. If you're already on the phone this evening, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 will raise your hand and let us know that you have a question or comment, and then we'll put you on the line with her. And right now, for all the people that are calling, I don't have anybody with the raised hand, which means I don't have any phone calls. But I have lots of people calling, so I think they don't know. You have to raise your hand, otherwise your phone stays on mute and you won't be able to talk with Dr. Dean. Let me also just go to the chat line, Carolyn, because a lot of people were typing in questions. And, of course, we'll give a love shout-out to Nancy and also to our good friend Sherry up in New York, who said their salutations at the beginning of the show to us. Here's a couple things. Amy typed in and said, Dr. Dean, I'm 63. I used to have a rosy complexion, but now my skin on my face is so dull. Do you know why? I have been on all your products for 10 months. Remag, 3 to 4 teaspoons. Remite, 2 teaspoons. Realign, 2 caps. Pico Silver, Rebob, 10 drops.
Skin on face is dull. Then you'll work with Renew Skin Serum. In the morning, put on Renew, and in the evening, put on Remag Lotion. That will perk you up.
That's for sure. Lord, that'll get the blood flowing too, for sure. And if you have any questions, you can call into the show at 602-666-6027 or email customer support, and they'll be more than happy to help you learn how to use those as part of your protocols, your daily regimen. Melanie typed in and said, Dr. Dean, I have 2 questions. Gallbladder and liver cleanse. How to get rid of stones if I were to have them? First question. Second question. Practicing a keto diet and eating 1 avocado per day in a shake with restructured protein powder, but the stool are mashed and not sturdy segments and gassy. So I reduced my Remag and Remite. Is my body not processing fats well? Are these symptoms of gallbladder liver malfunctioning?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't believe in the gallbladder liver flush. I've talked about that before. That's the olive oil, Epsom salts. If you do have stones that could get stuck in the bile duct, and I won't be responsible for that happening. Well, gallbladder and liver cleanse and stones, I actually go to my Future Health Now Encyclopedia, Melanie, and read the excerpt about gallbladder in there and see if that gives you enough information. In terms of not digesting fat, if you're burping a lot, that's an indication. But if it's gassy and whatnot, I would say maybe some of that food is feeding your intestinal organisms. I would look at a soil-based probiotic. Ours is coming out. It's still in the wings. What you can do is read my yeast book, Reset the Yeast Connection. It's also at drcarolyndeanlive.com. So just do some reading. The information is there in detail, and then get back to us if you have more specific questions.
Excellent. Melanie wants to know also, can I apply Pico Silver, as in drops of it, to eyeballs to address a fungus behind the right side cheek cavity on my face?
Wow. I can't tell you to do that because that would be me practicing medicine without a radio show license. But the Pico Silver, it's not acidic. It doesn't have preservatives. You know what I personally would do is I'd put a little Pico Silver in my palm and just sort of wipe around the outside of my eye and just play with it like that before dropping it in. That's what I would do.
Right.
And if you've got a fungus situation, do read that Reset the Yeast Connection, because you've given me a clue now to the potential of yeast.
Right. Very good. Kathy says, Dr. Dean, I just heard about the rapidly spreading Candida auris in the news. It sounds pretty bad. Do you have any comments?
Well, the first I heard of it, I said, well, that's because we've been avoiding dealing with Candida albicans. We haven't been properly treating that. So some of the monster Candida just can get the upper hand. So just keep to your...
what is it, Carolyn?
It's just another form of Candida.
Oh.
It's a sister to or cousin to Candida albicans, and it's just like Ion has said to us. He said, Carolyn, you can help people with all these terrible problems, but they'll just find something else to get sick about. And it's, I haven't looked at the full extent of it. You know, it's dozens of people that are dying, but millions of people are being affected by Candida albicans, and having a fungus like that just reduces your immune system and allows other yeast to, as a parasite, to get on board. But even then, it's not that yeast is the bad guy. Yeast and funguses have a purpose in the body to break down, degrade dead and dying things. So if you've got parts of your body that are dead and dying, you can have yeast. And I'm sorry to be so graphic, but this is where we want you to be on the RNA reset drop so you can be as alive as our radish experiment, where when we put the RNA reset drop mash in the soil, we grew 85 pounds of radishes compared to 3 pounds on the soil that had no mash and got attacked by worms and bugs and created all these weeds. So keep yourself alive with the RNA reset bundle. But what do we call the bundle, Jenny? We're having a bundle. Whoops.
Let's take a break. We'll do it in the second hour. Right back with Dr. Carolyn Dean. We'll be right back.
You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
AchieveRadio.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome, everybody, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, hour 2 this Monday evening. So happy to have you with us here. 2019, I think it's April. I don't know. We're going so fast. We have so many great things cooking and moving. What is it, April 8th, I believe. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're here on April 8th, 2019, and we're here with Dr. Carolyn Dean back in the second hour to take your phone calls at 602-666-6027. Again, that's 602-666-6027 if you'd like to join us. You can hit your star keypad, star 5 on your keypad, and hop into the conversation. Also, and we'll go back to our chat line with our questions, people typing in on the chat line as well, and then we have all kinds of wonderful things to talk about tonight. Carolyn, you were saying as we came to the top of the hour about the Total Body Reset Bundle.
Right. I think the best way to deal with yeast and funguses is to recognize that it's a parasite that chews up dead and dying tissue in your body and make yourself as alive as possible. And as I mentioned in the end of the first hour, we proved that with our RNA reset mash that we could make the soil and the plants so healthy and alive that weeds would not set in, worms would not be attracted, and bugs would not be attracted. That's all we're doing. Predators of our human body and predators of plants, their prime directive is to cull out, C-U-L-L, out dead and dying plants and humans. That's what's going on. So when you have this Candida auris, then it's trying to eat up the tissues of people that have been made so weakened and toxic from all the drugs they're taking. Seriously, in my total biology studies, we were told that infections actually can be the way the body is able to chew up tumors and excess growth and what you would call cancerous tissue when the body no longer needs to have this tissue. The body, in order to solve a conflict, can make tissue. Like in breast cancer, it'll make milk duct tissue to try to get more milk. I mean, this is all kind of a primitive instinct by the body. If your child is dying, then you want to increase your milk production to nurture the child. So when the child survives, then you don't need that extra milk production. You don't need those extra wide milk ducts, so the tissue begins to dissolve, and it can be helped in that regard by yeast. And this is where there was, I don't know if it's still around, kind of a fad about killing yeast with baking soda or something because yeast is causing cancer. Well, no, it's not causing cancer. It's around cancer to help chew up the cells, to help destroy them. So because we haven't addressed Candida albicans, medicine has let it go on and on and on, giving people more and more antibiotics and steroids and all manner of things, allowing sugar to be like a food group, to the point where Candida is just thriving. So why not just invite Candida auris into the mix? They haven't been able to treat Candida albicans. Now they're not going to be able to treat Candida auris. They don't have proper antifungals, the ketoconazole antifungal. It's a fluoride drug, for Pete's sake. So right away it's going to be depleting magnesium. Treating yeast of any kind takes the body being alive and well and avoiding the sugars and the simple carbohydrates that feed Candida. So our Total Body Reset Bundle, we'll be talking about it in the next week. And what are we going to do about the bundle? How exactly are we positioning, talking about that? I know Chad is poised to let people know, but what do you want to say about it today, Jenny?
Just that we're reconfiguring it so that it's a little bit more user-friendly for 30 days. You're not getting quite as much product, and it's got a super slick price point on it, super fun and groovy. Everybody's going to really love that. So we're going to announce it next 15th on Tax Day, and you'll have a chance to use it and enjoy it and benefit from it, and you're going to love it. Very good. Okay, perfect. So, yes, don't be afraid of these new things that are manifesting.
I don't know the body count yet, but it's not. I mean, it's a speck compared with the body count from avoiding magnesium. Seriously, the number of people that are dying because they're not treating magnesium deficiency and being treated with a handful of drugs. I mean, look at Nick, this 47-year-old. At the end, he's telling me, well, I'm on a half a dozen drugs. And that's got to feel horrible for a young man to think that he's a cardiac cripple now when basically magnesium deficiency is afoot. Even with GERD, in order to make your stomach hydrochloric acid, you require magnesium. Simple as that. Okay, Ginny, what do you got for us?
Okay, very good. All right, let's see. We'll just go back to the chat line, 602-666-6027. No raised hands, so we're just going to go right to the chitty chat line. One of the questions here is, Renee. I started back on Remag after months off as I had been cramping up a lot at night, and I just couldn't figure out why. I started eating more food in general, and the cramps subsided and then started back on the product. I'm now on a teaspoon of Remag and a half a teaspoon on Remite for 3 or 4 months. My cramps have remained at bay, although they've occurred a few times. I started eating 2 bananas a day, but I can't keep up with that. Calcium or potassium, which might be causing these cramps. I eat a lot of veggies, especially broccoli, no dairy. Which potassium is better, gluconate or citrate, and is okay to take it in supplement form? Sorry, so long.
It's you don't have enough magnesium. I mean, why think about all these other things? A teaspoon of Remag is less than the RDA, so you're not boosting your stores. So just add a quarter teaspoon every couple of days, move up to 2.5 teaspoons, get your Remite up there to 1.5. Make sure you're putting sea salt in your water. There is potassium in the Remite. If you're eating lots of veggies, you're getting your potassium. What's that? Did someone just fall off the desk? Okay. So that's what you do, Nancy. Just take more Remag and more of the other minerals as well, and get back to us and tell us how you're doing.
Right. Here's the thing that I always like to explain when I'm doing customer service is you've got to understand that you're taking in 300 milligrams a day, but you're also burning about 600 milligrams a day. So you're not even taking in as much as you're burning. And then you're trying to actually restore the storage sites of magnesium in your legs. That's where magnesium is stored, in your legs, your arms, and the ventricles of your heart. So if you just think about money. If you make $50 a day and your bills are $75 a day, you're $25 a day in debt. And by the end of the week, you're in debt $125. By the end of the month, you're in debt $500. So you think you're earning money, but you're really just going into debt. And most people are going into debt consistently every day with their magnesium supplementation. So try to bring your level up so that you're getting enough for your body function and a little bit set aside for a rainy day. And the cramps will go away.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, here's it's not really a blog question, but a question that came in today. My 13-year-old son recently got diagnosed with childhood absence epilepsy after having a grand mal seizure, subsequent EEG. He had 2 absent seizures. My quest to understand this disease, I came across research suggesting a high number of kids with epilepsy are low in magnesium. What do you say about this? Well, I talk about that in the Magnesium Miracle. So that's the book to look at, Jan. And what happens at puberty is a real shift in the hormones, a real extra requirement for magnesium. So the timing may be related to puberty. I have just started giving him Kids Natural Calm Multi, which includes fruits and veggies. Yeah, I know the Calm Multi. I helped actually formulate that. But for a 13-year-old, he'd have to take quite a lot to make that work. Prior to his epilepsy diagnosis, I had purchased Remag for myself, but only just started taking it in water. Do you think it would be better for him to take his magnesium like I'm taking it with the Remag water, or is what I currently give him okay? He wouldn't get enough that way. I mean, a 13-year-old is probably 80 to 100 pounds, which is kind of 100 pounds is kind of my weight, and I needed the 4 teaspoons. I'm not saying your son would take that much, but it gives you an idea of him maybe requiring something like 2 teaspoons a day. But also look at sea salted water and the Remite and the B vitamins. The Realign is going to be very important for the nervous system. And actually the Restructure protein powder would be good for your son too, because he needs more protein in the puberty transition. You need a lot of hormone binding protein. So I think a lot of hormonal problems in puberty come from kids just eating their hot dogs and French fries and really not getting proper amounts of protein. Shall I go on with the mailbag and whatnot, Ginny?
Let me clear up a couple things off the chat line, and then sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Sabina typed in, "Hi, Dr. Dean. I'm 53 years old. For the past several years, 7 years, oh goodness, 7 years, I suffered from severe insomnia and leg twitching. I have tried sleep meds and Xanax. Nothing really works. I fall asleep and then I wake up at 2 a.m. I am up all night. I have tried Angstrom Mineral Magnesium, and it hasn't helped. Any suggestions? I'm desperate."
Well, Angstrom Mineral Magnesium, that's what I first looked at, but it's only, it varies, but about 2,000 parts per million. Remag is 60,000 parts per million. So try Remag, or no, take Remag and you'll see the difference. So order Remag, follow the guidelines about water intake and adding sea salt to your water, and let us know how well you do.
Yes, and for people who have difficulty sleeping at night, don't hesitate to take Remag at night either, because that can be really good. It makes it a lot of difference for our customers. Sometimes
right,
they divide their dose.
Divide the dose, exactly. Take it through the day, and then an extra shot of like a half teaspoon at bedtime. Exactly.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, very good. And let's see. Mary types in, "I've had an eye twitch. I've been taking a teaspoon of Remag, teaspoon of Remite for a few months. Should I take the Remag in the morning as well to stop my twitching eyes?"
Well, you just have to take more. I think you've already, from what Ginny talked about, your bank account is depleted of magnesium. When you have a magnesium deficiency symptom, you take enough Remag to get rid of the magnesium deficiency symptom. So up your Remag, take maybe 2.5 teaspoons of Remite would be 2 teaspoons spread out through the day. What I've been doing lately is I'll put a teaspoon of Remite, teaspoon of Remag, teaspoon of Pico Silver in about 8 ounces of water, and I'll have a few gulps of that 3 or 4 times in the morning, and that's my morning dose, and then I do the same thing at night with maybe I'm just doing 1 teaspoon of Pico, 1 teaspoon of Remite, but I might take a half to 1 teaspoon of Remag depending on what else is going on. So there.
Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, and let's see. I think we have one final question. Oh, Melanie's just asking a keto question, and Melanie, Dr. Dean has done a webinar on Reset Your Ideal Weight, and there are some components of the keto diet in there, and there's also a book that she's written, a free PDF. But this question in particular, Melanie, is how much grass-fed raw cheddar cheese is it okay to eat each day for a keto diet? I'm assuming she's talking about calcium content.
Well, I mean, it's what you can take. I know Bob, when he eats too much cheese, he gets mucus. I start to get a bit of mucus when I eat a lot of cheese. So you have to gauge yourself. And in the keto book, which is at drcarolyndeanlive.com, I have a list of the non-lactose cheeses. And that's important because if you've listened to me at all about the yeast overgrowth, you know that lactose is another sugar that can feed cheese, that can feed yeast. So you want to stay away from the lactose cheeses. So the cheeses approved by diets that avoid sugars are Brick, cheddar, Colby, dry curd, cottage cheese, Gruyere, Havarti, Manchego, Provolone, and Swiss, for Pete's sake. So it's most of the cheeses we do eat. So think about that. Mozzarella is not in there, darn. So, it's very individual, Melanie. It's how you feel with it. There's none of this, none of what we're doing is a recipe, except it is, because we just say to people, take your Remag, start with a quarter teaspoon, and increase it until you feel better. That's the guideline. And most people are not taking enough. That's all you have to know. Most people are not taking enough. You have the keys to the kingdom within your grasp, and you are not using them. Right, Ginny?
Right. It's entirely possible, yeah. You just got to bump up the volume, and you'll be very happy with that. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, the minerals, and especially Remite, help tremendously on the ketogenic diet. And we hear this all the time from people who are doing keto. When you get into that kind of a regimen, which is very good, and ketosis and no sugar and all the rest, and it's fantastic for the body, but you need a lot of electrolyte support because your body is not using sugar. So it needs to get its electrons from somewhere. And it's a long loop in the body to get fat to turn into electrons. So you've got to get your energy from your minerals. So definitely add your Remite if you're doing a ketogenic diet too. And sea salted water, as Carolyn always says, which is wonderful for you. Okay, excellent. All right, Carolyn, what do you have over on your end?
Here's a testimonial. My husband and I wrote you an email about a month ago telling you how amazing your products are and how great we're feeling with only 3 weeks into your protocol. We've been on your products now for about 3 months and feel terrific. My husband's sugar levels are great, so are mine. We continue with the ketogenic diet along with the yeast protocol. The terrible pain I had on my back, legs, and feet for years is about gone. My insomnia is gone, and I sleep so well at night. It is truly a miracle. My husband's back pain due to an injury is also gone, and he also sleeps very soundly at night. We are full of energy and feel amazing. Thank you, Dr. Dean, for creating such a miracle in our lives. Isn't that awesome? There's someone sent me this about Dr. Jockers. He's a chiropractor, nutritionist, and he's talking about magnesium, but he says magnesium-rich foods should be used in nearly every meal we consume. And he gives a lot of information, probably from my magnesium book. But he doesn't realize that the food supply will not hold magnesium. You have to do the supplements. This is the 100 pages of hype that I mentioned at the outset. It's a Earl Mindell. He's a journalist or writer who's now joined some company that's promoting this ocean bottom mineral. Now he's saying reverses aging and decreases cancer risk by over 70%. Now, these words, I don't know why the FDA lets these words out, because a customer of ours who has breast cancer said, "Oh, should I take this magnesium?" And so I went through it, I sped read it, and they're just talking about cancer risk and talking about their magnesium as if it's been involved in every clinical trial ever done on magnesium. just hyping everything to the max. And I just said, as I said at the outset, that this is just pure hype. It's $100 for 4 ounces, discounted twice, only 60 milligrams of elemental magnesium. So what happens is people will take these products. They won't get cured because they are not taking enough of a well-absorbed magnesium, and then they think magnesium doesn't work. The hype makes them think it should, and it doesn't. And then another testimonial, yes, from someone who says, thank you for your life-enhancing and life-saving work. I have severe Prince metals. It's a magnesium deficiency and type of angina. And anyway, he said he's weaned himself off calcium channel blockers and 2 other drugs. And he said when he added the Remag and Remite to his withdrawal of benzodiazepines, he found it was quite amazing. And I looked up what he was doing. There are benzodiazepine withdrawal treatments, and they're using amino acids and antioxidants. But yes, the Remag and Remite can, maybe do it instead or certainly enhance any protocol. And he gives our Megan kudos for her knowledge base and demeanor. And he said, when I read what you remembered regarding med school, the idiotic Playboy nude female pictures used as a teaching tool, and your response putting up nude male slides, I cracked up. My brother was a physician and would have loved that story. Feel free to delete these 2 lines. No, I want to say them. So thank you for that. I won't say your name. Okay, Magnesium Conference at the NIH. I don't know if I said this. Bird over in Switzerland said, I enjoyed last Monday's show. I put my hand in the fire to say that Remag covers all the enzymes of the body. If the other researchers confirm that it covers 1,000, your audio and written clinical testimonials confirm this to be a fact. And then, wow, thanks again. My mom had surgery and developed complications nearly 5 years ago. She was given prednisone and many antibiotics. She came home from the hospital unable to keep her eyes open for longer than a few seconds. No one was able to offer a solution. Last summer, I started her on Remag, hoping to improve her health. Within a month to 6 weeks, she became able to keep her eyes open. Just wish I'd tried Remag earlier. Look at that. Good grief. Anything to do with nerves and muscles, start with Remag. And, we hear that too often. I wish I'd done it earlier. So that's why we keep harping away at this, so that you will do it. People who've been listening for years and never taken magnesium. A customer asked about nicotinamide. What are my thoughts of taking this as a supplement? Okay, so I looked up. Nicotinamide is used for skin inflammation. Studies have shown that it switches off the genes of aging, extends lifespan, etc. And so I said to him, but the studies are in yeast and mice. There are no human studies. Mice metabolism is so far removed from humans that many researchers are now saying that there's no correlation. It's all just speculation. And in their investigations into the effects of nicotinamide riboside on lifespan, scientists used a strain of yeast known to have a relatively short average lifespan. When the yeast was treated, the average lifespan doubled. Okay, so this is what people, even in the product development world, I remember seeing this when I was attending natural medicine conferences, that they'd see a study like that and say, oh my gosh, it'll help human aging, and they're doing it on yeast. So I said to him, in the email to our customer, I gave a couple of these reports, and I said, on the other hand, the research into magnesium and anti-aging is very advanced, so keep taking your Remag and Remite. Also, Realign contains niacin, so you're already getting the benefits from that. You are on the perfect protocol for health and longevity. Stop worrying. And that's what will happen. There's so many adverts for these supplements. Susanna, I don't know if we got through her cataract testimonial. I think I briefly mentioned it last time. Here's the update on my mom's recent cataract surgery. Now, she's, I think, 92 years old. This is her second cataract surgery, and this one includes her being mineralized with Remag, Remite, Recalci, as well as a daily dose of Pico Silver. With her first cataract surgery, she was getting Remag through Remag lotion, which she just applied to her hands and her whole body after her shower. The difference post-surgery compared to her first was dramatic. Both the doctor and the nurse were surprised at how well she could see. The swelling was much less than what was experienced in the first surgery. More eye drops were prescribed to help decrease the swelling after the first surgery, and the drops were given for 6 weeks. This time, 1 week after, my mom's ophthalmologist instructed us to begin weaning her off her eye drops. She also said that she was doing so well in both eyes, she may not need glasses at all. After the first surgery, the doctor said more than likely she would need bifocals to help her near vision. But now she says potentially no glasses. In a month, my mom is scheduled to have her vision tested to see what, if any, prescription lenses are needed. Once more, I have to state how amazed I am that more people are not flocking to take the complete line of complement formulas. The results are remarkable and unmistakable. So there. And actually, I can't believe it, but I'm done all my mailbag, Ginny. We're going to be at loose ends. Bob's going to come in if we don't have anything to talk about.
No. Well, we will have things to talk about. We have so many things to talk about. It's incredible. Renee, well, first of all, Jean typed in and said, how much sea salt per day? So, Carolyn, if you want to go over the sea salt protocol real quick.
Yeah, a quarter teaspoon in every liter of drinking water, and you determine your drinking water amount by taking your weight in pounds. So if it's 100 pounds, then you're going to take half of that in ounces of drinking water. So 50 ounces. Each liter of that, you put in a quarter teaspoon. That's it.
Okay,
and
very good.
It sounds like too much or it tastes strong to you at first, just start with a pinch and work up to the quarter teaspoon. Don't turn yourself off of it by saying, well, I hate the taste of salt. I'm going to take this and not like it. So if you have that sort of inkling, just start with a pinch.
Very good. Excellent. Carolyn, her name is Carolyn too, typed in and said, you said the Future Health Now Encyclopedia is free, but she says it's $11. I don't know where that's coming from, Carolyn, but our website, drcarolyndeanlive.com, has a section called Books, and all of Carolyn's 12 free ebooks for our customers are there. And I put the link in the chat line, and it is definitely free, 100% free. And then let's see. Renee typed in and says, I'm getting a friend on Remag. I started him with a quarter teaspoon a day, and he had on day 2, he had an itchy rash on his lower legs and a boil that started. Can you comment on starting when a body is in poor general health? How do you start him without such drastic effects?
Well, I mean, do we know it is Remag?
Right.
I mean, it's hard to say, but if there's a rash and a boil, that means he has yeast, Renee. So I'd put him on a yeast-free diet first.
do some yeast detox.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's
and with the yeast, we have a free book of that under the book section, again, at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And, Carolyn, since we have a few minutes, we can talk about the yeast protocol. We do have a couple phone callers that have called in. But let me just say, Carolyn, when you're doing the yeast detox, you can still do the sea salted water, everybody, even if you're not putting the Remag in it, right?
Yeah, all your water should have sea salt. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, well, like she's saying, okay, so cut back on the Remag because it gave him boils and rashes, and you're saying do some yeast detoxing, but I'm saying don't stop the hydration part, which is water and sea salt. Keep that going.
It's like intellectually he has to get the idea of his body may be toxic, and he's got to do something about it. It's not a side effect of Remag to have a rash. Supposedly, and I don't know why it would happen in day 2, but what's happening with Remag Magnesium, it's stimulating the immune system to dump toxins, to kill yeast, to try to clean up the body.
Very good. Excellent, excellent. Okay, let's take a few phone calls. And again, 602-666-6027. You've got to hit *5 on your keypad to let us know you have a question or comment. And we will put you on the line with Dr. Dean. We'll go to the great state of Michigan, area code 906. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Valerie Olson. And my question is, I have many patients who have been taking magnesium glycinate in capsule form and want to switch to Remag, and they're typically taking about 600 to 800 milligrams a day. And I'm just wondering if, since the Remag has such a high level of absorbency, I know to start with a quarter teaspoon during the day and another quarter at night. Would I just keep increasing until symptoms are better? Because what I've seen with those who have already done this is that they can do just fine with a half a teaspoon twice a day, where they might have been taking 6 capsules, 8 capsules of magnesium glycinate and not gotten as good an effect.
Right. Yeah, that's the whole stabilized ionic form that Remag is in, so all of it goes to work, whereas in the glycinates, we don't know exactly the absorption, but it could be only 20%. And so what we say, Valerie, is when you start the quarter teaspoon of Remag, you keep doing the glycinate, and then as your symptoms improve, you just cut back on the glycinate, because why take something that's not as well absorbed? And what happens to some people is as they increase the Remag, and if they stay on the same amount of the other magnesiums, they can start getting the laxative effect. And that's your real clue to stop the other magnesiums, because they're the ones that are going to cause the laxative effect, not the Remag.
Is the Remag not dependent at all upon their HCl status?
You cut out there, so just repeat.
Oh, I just wanted to know if Remag is as dependent on hydrochloric acid being present as another form of magnesium.
No, it doesn't need that at all, Valerie, because it's being a stabilized ion. It doesn't have to be broken down by hydrochloric acid. It does start off as magnesium chloride, but then the magnesium and the chloride are stabilized, and they don't bind. The magnesium doesn't quickly bind up and become unavailable for absorption. So, yeah, right in your mouth, you're absorbing the Remag magnesium into the cells. You don't need hydrochloric acid. And then the other aspect down the road is, in my case, after about a year and a half of taking 4 teaspoons, then 3 teaspoons of Remag, I started getting somewhat of a laxative effect and then realized I only needed 2 teaspoons. And then most of the time I've been taking 1 teaspoon. So the body does build up its stores. Like I can skip a day's dose just to experiment, and I don't get the heart palpitations that I would have gotten if I'd skipped even a little bit a couple years ago. Quite amazing.
Okay, so once you build up stores, Dr. Dean, unless you have a big bout of, I understand that, extreme stress can literally use up magnesium stores very quickly, then you can just go by body symptoms and gradually cut down, and if symptoms come back, then you may need to increase your dose again.
That's right. You do your own experiment. You want to know exactly how much your body needs. That's why we have such a hard time when people phone in and say, how much do I take? How long do I take it? When am I going to feel better? Because everybody has different requirements, different burn rates, different stress. I mean, there was a time, and I've talked about it, when I ate too much yogurt and I'd get heart palpitations because I was taking on too much calcium compared to my magnesium. And then when I travel, I'll need a little more. And when I exercise more, I'll need a little more magnesium. And my trigger is my heart palpitations. Other people who don't have heart palpitations, they have to get used to what their magnesium deficiency triggers are, or their magnesium deficiency symptoms are.
Right. Good. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate all the knowledge you have and sharing it with us so we can learn and be well.
Oh, thank you, Valerie. Now, are you a practitioner who's taking part in our practitioner protocols?
I have not been taking part in those. I have only listened to 2 of the programs now, and I do not know about that.
Okay, well, if you'd like us to reach out about that, just email Ginny at support@rnareset.com, and either Ginny or Jackie will get back to you. We're very excited about how we're able now to work with practitioners.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yay!
Oh, very good. Dr. Carolyn Dean live here on AchieveRadio.com. Here's a question from the chat line that I overlooked. Sorry, Mary, but I want to ask Carolyn now. I have been diagnosed with, I am going to have a hard time with this word, Carolyn, and I just want you to know up front that I'm really not going to pronounce this very well, maybe. It's called Wegener's, Wegeners,
granuloma. Yeah.
Mitosis.
Okay.
Limited to my head. It's now in remission, but I am left with, as I talk, it's though my ears are underwater. I had to take methylprednisone for a year. It sometimes affects my voice so that I sound hoarse or very quiet. I can't hear how loud I am speaking sometimes. I've been taking a teaspoon of Remag twice a day and a teaspoon of Remite once a day. I'm wondering if I have yeast in my ears. Can you help me with this, please?
Right. Wegener's granulomatosis. It's a rare disease, they say. It's characterized by inflammation of various tissues, including blood vessels, which gives you a vasculitis, but primarily parts of the respiratory tract and the kidneys. Right. Well, anything that comes with a kind of a definition of inflammation, we definitely know that magnesium is going to help. And yeast may be involved, maybe secondarily, but personally I'd be going after it with 3 and 4 teaspoons of Remag, 2 teaspoons of Remite, and 2 teaspoons a day of Pico Silver. That's where I think that the help would come from. And I'm just sort of reading, I Googled the Wegener's and talking a lot about the vasculitis, how it affects the blood vessels. that's where food-based vitamin C is going to be important, because it's vitamin C that helps capillaries and blood vessels stay strong. It's vitamin C that's in the eye. Vitamin C supports the adrenal glands. So vitamin C is going to be important here as well. And as I said earlier, our food-based vitamin C is a couple months away still, but there are some food-based vitamin Cs that you can get in health food stores or online. So personally, I've been taking more Remag and Remite, taking Pico Silver. Certainly Realign would be helpful as well. But any condition, when they say it's rare, they don't know what causes it, I always start with nutrients. And the reason why nutrients may have not come up for a lot of these conditions in the past is because they're not using well-absorbed nutrients like we're focused on. So you get the situation, as I talk about all the time, where people say, well, I tried magnesium and it didn't work, and that's because they didn't take enough of the right kind. So that's what we're trying to educate people about, is taking enough of the right kind, which is Remag.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to area code 303-303, the great state of Colorado. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Janice. I'm 67 years old. I have been taking the Complete Mint formulas the last 6.5 months. I originally had muscle pain, anxiety, fatigue, depression, and insomnia. All of those are pretty much gone except for the insomnia. I originally improved, although I was sleeping 4 to 5 hours and waking up for 2 hours, and then back to sleep for about a total of 7, and that was fine, but of course I would like to sleep straight through. I contacted you in February as my sleep worsened, and I've had a lot of trouble falling asleep and can be up for many hours at a time and end up with only a few hours of sleep. You had emailed me back with several sleep module suggestions, which I read and had been doing most of those already. You said the next step would be to consult with David Holt in Total Biology. But before I do that, I do have a couple of questions to see if any of the supplements could be wiring me up, as I'm very sensitive and I'm concerned about taking anything before bedtime. What I talked to Julie today, and she suggested that I call in. I take a total of 4 teaspoons of Remag, and originally I had been taking like 3 or 3.5 during the day, and then 1/2 to 1 teaspoon before bed. So it was a total of 4 teaspoons. And the 1/2 to 1 was in like only 2 ounces of water, because I didn't want to drink a lot before bed.
Sure, yeah.
I also was taking 2 teaspoons of Remite, and since I was started to have trouble falling asleep, in talking to the great customer service reps that you have, they had me cut back. So I'm taking 3/4 of a teaspoon now. I do drink 64 to 80 ounces of water a day. I weigh 130, and so I even drink more than what I need to with the Himalayan salt. I was taking 2 Realign, and they suggested maybe the bees were wiring me up. I was taking the second one anywhere between 12 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And now I'm starting today. I just took 1. I also take the RNA drops, and so I decided maybe I shouldn't take, because I was dividing that dosage up, and decided maybe I shouldn't take the second dosage at night. I do take the blue ice fish oil 2 times a day. I take a food-based vitamin C. I'm on the yeast-free diet.
Wow,
And
model patient. A model patient.
Yeah, I try to be. And I did just add a box flower remedy. You had suggested walnut. And I also, in reading through the brochures and everything, I added another one to it, and I really do like it. It's only been a couple of days, but I like it.
Which one is that?
Holly.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah. And then I'm not taking Recalcia right now. I'm a little bit confused on that one. So my questions are, can Remag rev me up at night, taking that extra amount?
It could. It could do that. And yes, it's correct to sort of cut back on the nighttime taking of things. At however 6.5 months, you're getting. With you taking Holly, I'm wondering, when you're lying awake, are you having gramophone thoughts and sort of negative thoughts?
I was, but when I started this, I stopped. Yes, I was having negative thoughts prior to this. And having the feeling of, I don't know if I'm going to fall asleep, and being worried about that.
Apprehension,
Yes.
Because, the way total biology looks at sleep and insomnia is it's the body, our brain knows we need to work out conflict. And it's like the brain knows that during sleep we can work out conflict. We do work out a lot of things in our sleep. So there can be kind of a block on sleep because we know that's when stuff is going to come up. It's all very kind of primitive biological reactions. But
today what I also did was I took the 4 teaspoons all in my water bottle, and I finished it up like 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens tonight. But yes, there's this. It's a terrible thing. I used to have magnesium deficiency insomnia, and it's horrible. You're lying there, and the apprehension and everything. But and my foster daughter, she had 25 years of insomnia, and she finally admitted it was her vegan diet, where she wasn't getting enough protein for all the brain neurotransmitters to help her with sleep. So there's that too. The total biology people say that insomnia is a hidden depression that may happen from time to time. That's why I recommend Dr. Holt to sort of get to the bottom of that.
So it's a good idea not to take the RNA for me at night?
At night.
And
I would say so. I mean, the thing with the RNA reset is that it's going to work on the reason why you have insomnia. So maybe you don't want to take that at night. It might sort of rev that up. But the RNA reset is going to help you with the reasons for the insomnia. And I don't know if you intellectually have to address what's going on first. I mean, humans are like that. They need to have a reason, looking for the reason. What's going on, and I think I'm getting that you're in that category because you're taking your walnut and your holly, you're doing all you can, and you're putting a lot of attention on the insomnia, which in some cases can feed the insomnia. what RNA reset drops are supposed to do for people is they get you into a position of relax and allow and just let it go, detach, love where you're at and want more, but you've got to be happy where you're at to move on.
Okay.
So if a person's not happy where they're at and, keep chipping away at, oh, this is wrong and that's wrong, and for you it's just the insomnia is wrong because you've sorted everything else out. But somehow you've got to get the detachment going enough. And it sounds like you've been through a lot. I mean, when someone has a history of depression, it's like, you don't want it to come back. So there's that apprehension there, too. I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to wake up and be tired. I'm going to be depressed. So, there's a vicious cycle of stuff. And only someone who, like Dr. Holt, I'm sure there are lots of other people. Someone like Dr. Holt will not look at it as a problem, but as a conflict where you're looking for a solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you were going to ask me another thing.
Well, the realign, is that best for me just doing the one per day?
Well, you could do the 2 in the morning if you wanted to.
I do really like the realign. It just perks me up every morning.
Yeah. So you could do the 2, but some people say that the B vitamins can perk them up too much at night, and you don't want any blip. Even deep dreams can get the adrenaline moving at night and wake a person. And I know, I said 6.5 months, you're probably far along, but see what happens if the adrenal glands have been depleted as well, then your adrenaline is still a little trigger happy. Okay. So I'm glad you're taking the 4 teaspoons. Even with exactly what you're doing, I think very gradually the sleep would improve, but I can understand your frustration in wanting to try to manipulate it a little more.
Right. And Julie, one of your customer service reps, talked to me a little bit about sometimes you go through these bumps. And I guess you go back a little bit. I'm not sure because I was moving along well. And then this started happening with the sleep. So I will let you know if not taking these things in the evening are helpful.
Yes, keep in touch with Julie about it. And yes, it's true. You'll be going along, you'll elevate your position, then you'll hit a plateau, and sometimes, if, like I said, if there's some conflict that your brain is trying to understand or solve exactly, then you might drop. But you'll never drop below where you, what am I trying to say? You'll never drop too much, and then you'll go back up, and then you'll be at a higher elevation. You'll keep going higher and higher. The worst is definitely over. But I could say with the 6 months in, you've got a little ways to go.
Okay, I do know that, but I just wanted to get a little tweaking and see what else I could do for improvement. So I do appreciate it very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And good questions. I appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Dean.
Okay, Janice. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Wonderful, wonderful. And highlighting our wonderful support team that's always on the scene for all of our great customers, giving a great information, direction, support, consolation. She got the full expression of everybody, and I just think that's awesome. We have a great support team. We don't talk about them enough probably, but they do just, for morning, noon, and night, emails, 24/7 email support, phone calls, chat line. They are there 100%, and it's such an honor to work with everybody. They love Carolyn. They love our customers, and they just do such a great job in a very, very challenging, wonderful way. So very, very happy that she got such great support, very much so. Okay, we had one more caller, but I don't have time to put you on the phone this evening and wrap up the show. We've only got a minute left. Let me say, please call in next week. Try to call in a little earlier. We start taking phone calls about 30 to 45 minutes in. And always email your questions to support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com. We'll catch you after the show with the things that we missed and be able to support you that way as well. Final words, Carolyn?
Oh, my gosh. Just very exciting, great callers, great chat questions, love questions. Questions make my brain work. So I appreciate what I learn every time I engage with our customers. It's fabulous. It makes my brain grow. I'm probably using most of my brain now, Ginny.
I think you are. It will be studied by science. Mark my words, everybody. It will be. If there's a scientific team big enough to haul it around and look at it, they will find Carolyn's big brain, and it will be in the Smithsonian someday. Although she may never pass, so I don't know.
I'm that scientist. I've been studying her for over 52 years.
And what's your conclusion there, Mr. Dobbs?
We haven't made any conclusions yet. We're still monitoring.
You still want the funding to continue.
Yes, I need the funding.
Very good. Excellent. All right. Thanks, everybody. Great show. And thanks, everybody in customer service. Love and appreciate everyone. Thank you, listeners. We'll be back next week.
Thanks, Ginny.
Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, listeners.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.